Hello, this is Kate, the Daily Tarot Girl, and welcome to your weekly tarot card reading. All right. So I'm going to draw 3 cards. Oops. Draw 3 cards here, and my intention, as always, is to get an overview of the energies, themes, opportunities, challenges that you might experience during the week ahead. So I am using the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Ann for this reading. And let me just get my cards fixed here. Okay, let's zoom in a little. So let's begin with the first card. This will be for Monday, Tuesday, so the beginning of the week. And we've got the 4 of Wands. And I just want to stop and say, if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. If you enjoy my video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really, really helps me out. Okay, so we have the 4 of Wands for the beginning of the week, and the sun is just streaming through my window, so this this card looks a lot brighter than it usually does. But the 4 of Wands is really about celebration. It's about community and connection, and there's kind of a homey sense of belonging with this card. There's a certain kind of stability. So the suit of Wands, I think, is inherently unstable because it represents the element of fire. But the 4s represent stability. So this is that fiery, untamed, passionate energy of the Wands, but it's contained, like a fire in a wood stove or in a hearth. And there's this sense of warmth and comfort and belonging, community, friendship, celebration with the 4 of Wands. So you may find that some of those things, you experience some of those things at the beginning of the week. I want to say that I think connection with others and finding a sense of community is going to feel really important this week. And I think it's going to be very beneficial for you to do that. And even, I mean, if I look at this card, if I'm going to read this in a very literal way, there's people dancing and celebrating on here. And there's something special about coming together with other people and just moving your body and dancing. And, yeah, that's what I get with 4 of Wands is dancing, maybe going to a party, going out and dancing. That's if I were to read this card in a very literal way. But I think that prioritizing community and socializing and connection is definitely going to feel really, it's going to be very useful and very beneficial for you this week. And not just at the beginning of the week. I know this is the card for the beginning of the week, but I feel like this energy is going to carry through for the whole week. Another thing I want to say, actually, no, I might come back to this card, but I want to move on to the next card. So this is the card for the middle of the week, Wednesday and Thursday-ish, and we have the King of Cups. Okay, King of Cups. This is interesting because last week we had the Queen of Cups in this exact same spot. So the King of Cups is kind of similar to the Queen of Cups, and I sometimes will talk about the Queen of Cups as being like a really good therapist or even just like a mentor who's just a really good listener and is really good at helping you reflect on things. And the King of Cups is very similar. I think of the King of Cups as he would also make a really good therapist or mentor. He has this quiet presence that is very powerful. The King of Cups isn't the kind of guy who just like bursts into the room and demands attention. He's very good at holding a space for people and making people feel seen and heard, and as if everything that comes out of their mouth is really important. So if you've ever spoken with someone, had a conversation with someone, and you felt like they were really interested in what you had to say, even if you weren't saying anything particularly interesting, and they just had this way of making you feel like whatever you said was really profound and important. That's the King of Cups. That's what he's like. So, okay, so what does this mean for us though at the middle of the week? I feel like the middle of the week is a good time to kind of drop in and check in with yourself. And this almost kind of looks like what the King of Cups is doing. He's sitting quietly, he's got his singing bowl, and he's kind of dropping in and being present within himself. That's what gives him his power. That's what helps him radiate power. And as you can see at the artwork, there's radiating streams of white light coming from his chest. I don't know if it's obvious on the video or not, but this is what gives him that power that he radiates, is his ability to drop in and be fully present within himself. Having that kind of presence is so powerful, I think. It's very powerful in the world to be able to drop into yourself and just be fully present with yourself. It really helps you radiate that sense of power. So yeah, midweek, this is a time to check in, drop in and commune with yourself. Most importantly, commune with your emotions and your feelings. And think of your feelings as being like water. You want to let them flow. You want to let them flow through you. They're not going to be there forever. They're temporary. If you don't let them flow and they get stagnant, that's not good. And if they flow too much, too quickly, too fast, that can be like a raging river. And that also isn't good. But allowing them to flow in a comfortable way and really reflecting on your emotions and your feelings as a way to get to know yourself, drop in, and connect with yourself in that deeper level. For some reason, that's going to be very important this week. And then at the end of the week, Three of Swords. Okay. Ooh, intense. So this card, Three of Swords, in this deck is so intense, I think. Okay. So this card feels very different from the first two. The first card is fun. There's this air of celebration and friendship. King of Cups, there's this sense of calm, quiet power. And then we have the Three of Swords. And the Three of Swords is a card of heartache and a sense of mental and emotional anguish. And what this means, like this doesn't mean that something horrible is going to happen on the weekend and you're going to feel like shit. I don't think it means that. The Three of Swords, when the Three of Swords comes up in a reading, like it's coming up in this reading, it's wanting to draw your attention to something. And with the Three of Swords is interesting because it represents an intersection between the mind and the heart. So because it is the suit of swords, and the swords are all about your mind, your thoughts, your intellect, and then we have this big heart in the center of this card. So the Three of Swords is a card of feeling and emotion, but also thoughts. And so it's how our thoughts and the way we see things and understand things and look at things, the way that shapes the feelings that we have. So your thoughts and your feelings have this obviously a very intimate kind of relationship. It's sometimes hard to kind of tease the two apart. So that's what the Three of Swords is. It's about bringing your attention to the fact that your thoughts sometimes create your feelings, and sometimes it's the other way around. Your feelings sometimes kind of can create your thoughts. But it's about that relationship between those two things. And I also say with the Three of Swords, when the Three of Swords comes up, it's because there's something that wants to be acknowledged. There's something that is trying to get your attention, that wants to be seen by you, and it wants to be healed. If you look at this card, it's pretty dramatic. There's this heart that's been ripped in half twice, stitched back together, and now it's being pulled apart again. So it's like there was an injury, then there was another injury, and now it looks like another third injury is about to happen. So what does it mean for us? The question that this card has for you is, what is screaming for your attention right now? What within you is screaming for your attention? This might be the creative part of you is screaming for expression. It could be your inner child is trying to get your attention. Maybe there's a particular need that isn't being met, something that isn't being looked at or seen clearly by you. So what is screaming for your attention? Is there anything? There might not be at this time, but asking yourself that and seeing what comes up. Because I do think that there is potential for more clarity and healing on the weekend. That's another thing I want to say about the Three of Swords is Three of Swords is about being able to see things clearly and kind of taking off the rose-colored lenses and seeing things as they are, not necessarily as you want them to be or as you hope they would be, but as things are. And that flash, there's a lot of power in having clarity and seeing things as they are. Taking off the rose-colored lenses, but that can also be a little bit jarring and a little bit painful. Okay, let's look at all of the cards together. I think it's interesting that this card has come after this card because it's like King of Cups was saying, drop in, go inward, notice your feelings. And then it's like, oh, here's a feeling, Three of Swords. So yeah, it's not always, rainbow and cupcakes and sunshine when we drop in and connect with ourselves and pay attention to our feelings, because sometimes we have unpleasant feelings, but they want to be acknowledged. They want to be seen. Okay, let's have another look here. I'm just going to look and see if there's any other things that I want to point out here. And I invite you to do the same. So have a look at these cards and see what card draws you in. Is there a particular card that speaks to you, or you might find that there's a particular symbol on each card that speaks to you, that really draws you in. I'm noticing that the woman here is holding up a tambourine, so it's in the shape of a circle, and then the King of Cups is bringing his fingers around the singing bowl, also in the shape of a circle. I don't actually see any circles with the Three of Swords here, but I think that that's interesting. We've got that symbol of the circle. I don't have time to go into this symbol right now and fully explore it, but I'll leave that for you to maybe do if that calls to you. So again, this is another week that does feel powerful, and it feels like you have a lot of support this week. We've got this sense of community, friendship, belonging at the beginning of the week. We have the King of Cups and this ability to drop into ourselves and reflect and to be calm. I want to say that the King of Cups radiates this really calm, peaceful energy, and it's because of that peaceful energy that these difficult feelings can arise. So in order to really face any kind of challenging emotions within you, it's important to kind of channel your inner King of Cups. The more calm you are, the more you radiate that peaceful presence, I think the easier it will be to navigate everything this week. Okay, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Feel free to share your own take on these cards and what card really jumps out at you. I would say the card that jumps out at me is definitely the Three of Swords. This by far feels like the most intense card. And so I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to play out. I mean, I'm also noticing like this heart is being pulled in different directions. And so you might feel at the end of the week that you're being pulled in different directions. You might feel like there's different people wanting your attention and your time, or there's different projects and different things that need your attention, and feeling that sense of conflict because you really want to do all the things, but you can't. You have to kind of make choices. Kind of reminds me of the Two of Swords in a way, like having to make one choice and open one door and close another door. Okay, so I'm going to close the reading here. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this reading. Feel free to check out my website, dailytarotgirl.com. I've got lots of fun tarot learning exercises and resources on there for you to check out. I'll put the link below. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have an excellent week.